My name is Jon Acuff, and I write a blog called stuffchristianslike.net, and I wrote a book called Stuff Christians Like. And the goal of both of those is to clear away the clutter of Christianity so that we can see the beauty of Christ. And the way that I do that is with satire and humor. So I write and talk about some of the funny things that happen within church and within faith, things like prayer shot blocks. I don't know if you've ever experienced a prayer shot block. They're rare. They're like a unicorn moment of prayer, but when they happen, they are fantastical. And a prayer shot block happens when somebody in your small group or circle of friends prays for something that everyone else in the room knows God is not going to be cool with. Like the second it leaves their lips, that prayer request, everybody winces and goes, God is not going to be down with that one. You know, it's a bad dating relationship they're in, or maybe they're being impulsive about where they're going to college or not going to college. And so what'll happen is that somebody like Mary will pray, Lord, please grow my love with Tim. Bring us closer toward serious dating. Lord, I pray Tim would ask me to the prom. And if we date long enough to go to college together, I pray that you would save this relationship during those years. And every one of Mary's friends knows Tim is a punk. He's the worst person on the planet for Mary to be dating. So right after Mary prays for that, one of her friends will pray, Lord, please give Mary patience. Give her your gift of clarity. Open the eyes of her heart that she might hear what you are trying to tell her. And it's like right as Mary's prayer is floating up to heaven, it gets shot blocked right back down to earth. And so I write about things like that. I write about things I used to do in high school too. One of my favorite things to do in high school was to dump somebody after I went on a church retreat. Next to unpacking on a Sunday afternoon, that was probably my second favorite activity. And you know how it happens. It happens because you go on a church retreat, and on Saturday night of the retreat, which is the Cry Fest portion, they call it sloppy agape. The minister gets your emotions going and he'll say, you gotta give something up for God tonight. You gotta lay something down right here, right now. And you sit in the audience and you kind of Google your head and your heart and think, what can I give up? What can I give up? Bing, my boyfriend. Especially if your boyfriend didn't go on the retreat with you. Like if he's at home playing Xbox for 48 hours and you're worshiping God, you start to think, that's sweaty heathen. It is on like Donkey Kong when I get back. And guys, on a side note, if your girlfriend ever goes on a mission trip in high school or in college, go on that mission trip. Because if you don't, you're getting dumped when she gets home. She's gonna fall in love with Mark, who's kind of awkward in real life, but is amazing against the backdrop of Africa and orphans. People fall in love on mission trips. That's a free lesson. But you sit there in the crowd and you think, I'm dumping him when I get home. And you make a breakup pact with your girlfriends and you call them up and you say, hey, the retreat was amazing. Really grew a lot. I really grew. I don't think we should be dating anymore. And your boyfriend says, you grew? You were gone for like 48 hours. You were 100 miles away. Where did you grow that I didn't grow? And you say, well, I just don't think God wants me to date people named you. And you throw the God card to get out of the relationship, which is a great one. I went to a Baptist school and girls used to say things like, I'm not dating anyone right now, I'm dating God, which always made me feel like, so in order to get you to go to the Outback for dinner, I need you to dump Jesus? I mean, I just want to get a blooming onion. That's an intense situation to get Yahweh in the mix for. But that's the kind of stuff I like to write about, things that have happened to me, funny things that happen within church, things I bump into. And one of the moments that happened to me when I was in high school happened at my mailbox. You see, both my parents went to the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. They were Tar Heels. My youngest brother went to UNC. My little sister went to UNC. My uncle went to UNC. I grew up watching Tar Heel basketball. That's where I was born, in the Triangle, in North Carolina. That's where I was supposed to go to college. That's where I was headed until I got to the mailbox. I know online you find out now if you've gotten into the college of your choice, but when I was in high school, you found out at your mailbox, and you'd go there expecting a package, like a thick envelope, something that strained the mailman's arms. It was so full of happy news and brochures and pamphlets. But when I got to my mailbox that day, I practically got a postcard, and it said, you didn't get in, adios. Those probably aren't the exact words, but that's what I heard in that moment. And it hurt. I thought I had a plan. I thought I knew where I was going. And in that moment, I didn't want what I thought God wanted me to have. And that's the word patience. If there's two things you don't pray for as a Christian, it's patience and humility, because God will hook you up. The second you ask for those things, God goes, sure, here you go, I got those all day. If a friend of yours is about to pray for those, you almost have to do that Matrix slow dive and slap it out of their mouth and go, don't do that. If you ask for humility, God gives you a barrel with rope suspenders. I don't even know where he gets all those barrels, but you're going to be poor in like 4 seconds. Don't ask for humility. Don't ask for patience. But that's what I needed to have. And sometimes that's what we all need to have, and we don't want it. And it becomes this distrust issue with God. We can't trust God because we don't know where we're headed. And I wrestled with that over and over until I saw an example of speed and patience and trust in Exodus. And it was when God was dealing with the Israelites. And let me paint the picture for you for just a second. The Israelites have just been freed from slavery. You get the sense that there's this 400-year-long slingshot that's been pulled back, and then boom! And they're out in the desert, and they are ready to go. P90X, nothing. These guys have done manual labor for 400 years. They are jacked. 5-hour energy, diet, rockstar, Monster has nothing on the Israelites in this moment. They are an ocean of people stepping into their destiny. This is their time. There's momentum and power and excitement. And that's where we pick up the story, because God does something surprising. Let's look at that for a second. This is in Exodus 13. Here's where we pick up the story. Verse 17. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. For God said if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt, armed for battle. I love the details we get in that story. They felt ready. Have you ever felt ready? Did you ever feel ready like I felt ready at the mailbox? That 16, 17, 18 years of getting ready for UNC, it was about to happen, and it doesn't. And instead, you find yourself on a desert road. You know, some of us right now are in our own desert road moments. You know, some of us have desert road relationships with our parents. We get home and it's like they speak a different language, and they don't get what we're going through or why we're going through it, and this wall gets built and the communication breaks down. Some of us are in the middle of desert road divorces, where our parents didn't say, you've got to choose between one of us, but that's the vibe, that's the feeling. And you stand there in the middle, and you were 14 last year, and now you're 15 deciding mom or dad, and you're asked to make that decision. And it doesn't say that you have to make that decision, but that's what it feels like. And you're on this desert road. Some of us are in desert road moments with popularity. We thought high school was going to be a certain way. When you watch shows about high school, everybody's always smiling, has really attractive teeth, and is riding double bicycles, just la, la, la. It looks amazing. And high school hasn't turned out that way. You're watching this video right now surrounded by a group of friends. But next Thursday, next Tuesday, next Monday, those friends are going to be back in their schools, and you're going to be standing alone at a locker going, this is my desert road. Why can't life feel like it used to, or it could? God, where are you? And that's the great temptation, is that in that moment, we don't trust God. We feel like we're on that desert road because we failed, that he doesn't love us, that we can't trust his plan. And we go, God, where are you? What have I done wrong? Tell me, I'll change it. I know where I'm supposed to head, but I'm on a desert road. But what if the desert road wasn't a punishment? What if it was a gift? A gift from a father who loved you too much to send you the short way, even if it looked like the best way right now. I mean, that's what he did with the Israelites. Think about it. They would fight the Philistines 1,000 times later. But in that moment, God knew that if they faced that obstacle, they'd get discouraged and they'd return to Egypt. They'd go back to slavery. Maybe God has brought you from something he's desperate for you not to return to. And right now, he's put you on that desert road, not out of anger, but out of love. And he's given you this desert road. And it feels slow, and it feels different than what you'd planned with your life. And you feel like, I can't trust God. This must be a punishment. And I couldn't see my wife at Stanford University. I didn't see that at the mailbox. What would happen when I took a different path? I just saw that moment and I didn't want it, and I didn't trust God. But when you find yourself on that desert road, you've got to have patience. And that's not easy to have. I hate when ministers say, be patient, as if maybe you'll write that down in your sermon notes and go, okay, I should have that done by Tuesday. That's actually pretty easy. Patience isn't easy. It's a wrestle with God moment. It is. And a counselor once told me, John, the problem is most people think wrestling with God is a sin. They think it's failure, but it's not. Wrestling with God is a sign of intimacy because you can't wrestle with somebody who's far away. You can only wrestle with somebody who's up close and next to you. So if you're wrestling right now, if you're sitting watching this video on a desert road and you're wrestling, keep wrestling. Have patience. Know that God loves you so much that sometimes He gives you desert road moments. And even in that moment, even as you wrestle and feel like, I can't trust, you can. He knows the plan He has for your life. And you can trust that even on a desert road, it's about love.